What's good? God is good. I'm your host, Jay Did It. Welcome to Thursday Therapies, a podcast for all creatives, writers, rappers, poets, artists, activists, Sacramento community therapy session. Today we have Zay, an independent Sacramento based artist, producer, and engineer who has fully produced and engineered entire catalogs of their own music. Zay has performed at notable venues including Musicalandra, the Russ Room, Hearth, Golden Bear, and Reunion Underground. As a creator and owner of DCMsociety, Magic Society, Zay collaborates with local artists and producers on both creative and business levels. One of Zay's defining moments was turning down a major label deal at 18, remaining independent, choosing authenticity, community, and craft over the industry pressures. Welcome to Thursday Therapies. Thank you for being on the show. How you doing?
Doing great. I'm glad to be on this show. It's a goal of mine
Yes.
this year. Real talk.
It's a goal 2026. We knocking them goals down. I love to hear that. Thank you. That warms my heart for sure because I built this, for the community, for the artists, and to have you say that, it really warms my heart for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I seen what you were doing on your Instagram, and I was like, yeah, I gotta tap in with this.
I love that. I
Yeah, it
love
spoke to my
that.
heart. I was like, I had to figure out my way on this show and really, spread what I gotta say.
That's what's up. Yeah, I've been seeing you out here putting in work. I see you at the open mics, at the different shows, running into you, and I know that you out there, doing your thing and listening to your music. I was like, you would be perfect. And I'm just glad that it aligned perfectly for us to be able to have this conversation.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a year of alignment.
Yes, definitely. Year of alignment. I like that. So, as you know, Thursday Therapies is a podcast to bring more awareness to mental health, and I'm gonna ask you some questions and let
Yeah,
the community hear more about your story and just bring more awareness to mental health.
sounds great. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what was growing up between Sacramento and Elk Grove like for you?
Uh, it was a lot. You know what I mean? Felt very unstable for a while because a lot of things going on with my family, and for during that time it was like really hard to, I don't know, really know myself. You know what I'm saying? Because at one moment I'm over here, and then next moment I'm like over here in some other place where I'm like, I don't know what is safe. You know what I mean? So a lot of my time growing up was just always watching my surroundings, always like watching my back, because my mom, she was a single mom, so having to be in certain situations and be that protector. You know what I'm
Wow,
saying?
at a young
And
age.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, so growing up between worlds was tough because one moment I'm like, everything's cool, and then the other moment I'm like, where the hell am I?
Oh wow.
Yeah, so a lot of that, dove, feeds into my music. You know what I'm saying? Being able
Yeah,
to express that in some of the situations that I've been in. So yeah,
absolutely.
that be living like that and being in that era of my life is, had its up moments,
Right.
a lot of times, but also had for sure a lot of down moments,
Right.
that I had to learn from.
Yeah. Wow. So, how did those um how did those moments shape your identity, who you are today?
It made me it made me balanced and very understanding about people. You know what I mean? Because at going to schools where there's like a whole bunch of kids wearing like designer belts and all this other stuff,
Mm,
and then me and my mom's kind of just trying to figure out life, and seeing that side of the world was like, okay, now I understand, like, both worlds, and that's why I'm never like quick to judge people. You know what
right.
I'm saying? And also it made me like be aware of people, and how they act, and also within myself. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because I see two aspects where it's like, there's the super high ego, and then there's the super low ego, and then in that I kind of found that there's a balance between the both, where it's
Mm,
like, you're not above God and you're not below God. You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
You're right in the middle, where it's like we're all equal. So
Absolutely. I
that
love that.
yeah, so being a part of that kind of culture and that weird aspect of life really shaped me into, what I believe is very, like I said, understanding, um, very cautious, and never diving too deep into something that I don't know about, and always getting the information of what I'm getting into. because when you're going through things like that, it's like you meet people along the way. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? It's not
right.
just me being by myself. It's like you meet people along the way, and there's been many times where um, I've met somebody and like, yeah, they seemed cool, but they try to steer me in the wrong direction,
Mm,
and I had to face the consequences of that, and realize like, okay, I can't just you know hop into a relationship of any kind and just be like, oh, this is what it is for face
right.
value.
Oh,
Like, um, I had to like really analyze, how people, move in different situations, like real street smarts, and then
yeah.
also having, you know, um, the smarts of like, just everything being like, oh, it's whatever. You know what I mean? Like the
Right.
kind of the perspective of like, yeah, life could also be more. You know what I'm saying? There's things that you don't have to worry about. You know what I'm saying? That is possible not to worry about.
Right. Make you want to strive
Yeah,
harder.
it taught me like a lot of things that you stress about don't even really matter. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? When everything's all right, it's like people thinking of what people think about you. You know what I'm saying? What people have done to you. You know what I'm saying? What people took from you.
Right.
It's like sometimes you just don't have that control to be like, hey, this wasn't supposed to happen because clearly it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You never know. You probably could have died if it never happened.
Right.
So
Those are them lessons. Them
yeah,
hard lessons.
yeah. So I look back and look at my situations in my life. I'm like, man, like she's like in those moments, I was a different person. I was not. I was never this calm. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When I go out and really collective, I was I was not that collective. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like if somebody were to be a weird way, I crash out or try to make a scene and all types of stuff. And now I've learned, you know, finally coming out of certain situations that I don't got to be like that, and that's not real power. Real
Right.
power is when you are centered with yourself and
Absolutely.
you know just allow the universe, allow God to just bring you the energy that is correct for you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll humble you real quick.
Humble you real quick.
Real quick. Real quick. So when did art first feel natural to you?
Man, shoot, my whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like being a kid, I remember just having just a wild imagination.
Nice.
Playing literally the only game I played most of the time when I was a kid was Minecraft.
Oh wow.
Minecraft. I played with Legos, like just from a little kid. I was. I remember when I was 3, my
Wow.
grandfather, he I used to, go in his room. He used to tell me this, like we have photos. I used to go in his room and be like, "Hey, let's, play the piano," because he used to write music for Smokey Robinson. He goes by the
Nice.
name of James Bradford, and so my whole life he was like, "Yeah, get on the keys." You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Being a kid, he believed in me before I did. You know what I mean?
that's what's
Before
up.
I even knew how to. So my whole life, art's been there, but I dove deeper um, when I was going through different transitions in life, emotionally, where it was like I needed an outlet, and I'd be in class just drawing because I didn't know which other way to express it, and yeah, so that's what was the question again? I'm sorry.
It was just how did art feel? When did art first feel natural to you?
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah. So that's yeah. Um, yeah. So like around that time when I was just kind of going through the motions and like, man, what are these feelings? Going through
Right.
puberty and like also going through like all this other stuff was like, oh, geez, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
like there's stuff going on here, there's stuff going on that I can't tell my mom about. It's like, what. So during that time, it was like that's when it felt natural when I could just be in the classroom just kind of drawing. What I'm saying, doing a little doodle, nothing crazy. What I'm saying. I mean, I've drawn crazy stuff,
Yeah.
but that's just out of like it that natural feeling.
Mm,
That's when I was like, okay, this is how I see life, this is how I feel about life, and this is the only thing in life, this is the only thing that matters to me in life is this moment right here when I'm just creating. And later on the road of doing different transitions, with my moving situations and stuff. My my mom, she put me in a dance class. This was like long ago, maybe like 2013. I don't remember, but she took me to the Boys and Girls Club, and that's where I learned how to dance from KJ. She has a dance crew. I don't know if they're still dancing together as a group, but she had a dance crew called the Bellas. But she taught me how to dance. You know, she taught me how to, like, just get rid of all that energy. You
I
know what I'm
love
saying?
that. Yeah.
And yeah, so by my mom putting me in that dance class like years ago, I was like, that's when I got comfortable with
Yeah.
the artistry of like my style and
I
how
love
I feel
that.
about myself and who
Yes.
I am, and
Yes.
like I have so much, so much love for that moment, so much love for everybody who was there around that time, because I always say this in my mind, like if I never did that, you know what I'm saying, you know, I wouldn't be so okay with myself. I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be so balanced. I'd feel still like, really weird in my
Yeah.
skin, you know what I'm saying? And I could have went down that route, and figured out life that way, but it was just like what I was facing was a little more difficult, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, for somebody my age.
Yeah. It's crazy because we all are like one decision away from either going left or going right, one bad
Yeah.
decision or anything. It's just like we all are on that, you know, breaking point. We could have went this way or could have went that way. I feel the same way,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm glad, God leaded me this way instead
Yeah.
because it could have went completely different. I'm glad that I see that now.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy because that's what that during that time that's what dance was teaching me. It was like I could have swung left, but I swung right. You know
Right,
what I'm
right,
saying? And
right,
it looked crazy. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
And in that whole era, of creativity and really studying. That's when I really started studying music and starting studying tempos. And I
Nice.
was already loving music. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Because of my grandpa,
I
but
love it.
now it's like now I could hear what other people hear in genres and all this other stuff, and I'm like, yo, this is amazing. Like,
That's
you know what I'm
dope.
saying? And being able to put the movement to it, and not just hear it, but like, when you hear a song, you feel
You
that,
feel
you
it
want
in
to
your body.
move. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, now I know how to
absolutely.
move to it, but like really with intention and really bring it alive.
I love that.
And yeah, so that was when art really was like, no, this is what I am doing.
Right.
I don't care about it. I'm going to college for it.
That's
I'm
dope.
studying it.
That's dope.
This is me, and I don't
Yes.
care who you know wants to try to steer me away from that, because you're not. You
Right.
know what I mean? This is my life. I remember um, me and my mom's, we got this apartment, and it was like a one bedroom, and uh, we had this big like the living room was huge, and I'd sleep in the living room, whatever, because growing boy, you know what I'm saying, I'm like
Right.
6'3", you know what I'm saying, and what in high school, you know what I'm saying, and well, no, I was actually in ninth grade, so yeah, high school, but yeah, so I take those times where it was like just late at night, done with homework, you know what I'm saying, mom's asleep, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna throw some headphones on and just go to it, you know what I'm saying,
That's what's up.
and I was like, yeah, I gotta, this is what I love to do. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get this down. Cause also like during those times of dance, like there's been times where I like go to a battle and I not make the cut, and it not like hurt me like in a way of like, oh, I'm bad at dance. It was more like, nah, like I gotta like
Improve.
push
Yeah,
myself.
yeah.
And I took those moments, and got my private space and was like, nah, like tonight this is what I love to do. This is my art right now. I'm gonna be one of the dopest. At the time, I was like, I'm gonna be
That's
one of
what's
the
up.
dopest, and I was just,
I love that. That confidence.
yeah.
I
And
love that.
and the craziest part is that led me to sitting there and realizing like, there's nobody in this room beside me right now. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was dancing, I'd do the regular like, okay, this is what I've learned and stuff. But I sat back for a minute, and there was a part of me that was just like screaming, and I was like, what is that feeling? And
Mm-hmm.
finally, I sat there, and it was crazy. This was before I even was studying Zen. This was before I was even studying spirituality and all this other stuff and meditation. Way before then. I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know it existed.
Right.
This was all fantasy to me until it got real. Um but I'd sit in my room, just, I had Xbox, you know what I'm saying? I had games and stuff, but for some reason I knew that wasn't the answer. For some reason I knew trying to find, escape and pleasure wasn't the answer.
Mm.
because it was what I felt was just too damn deep. And I'd sit in my room, and one day I was just sitting there, and I was like, what is this voice speaking to me? Lights off, dark. I had the curtains closed, window open because I like it cold. You know, when you're dancing, body heat. I'm sitting there meditating. Didn't even know I was. And that split second, you know what I'm saying, was like a silence where it was like even the silence got silent. Or just a voice came through and it sounded like me. It was like, there's nobody in this room right now. What are you trying to hide? You know what I'm saying? What are you hiding from yourself, man? You know what I'm saying? It's like you want to be the best. You want to do all this stuff with dance, right? But you're still hiding from yourself. Where you gonna go?
That's deep.
You know? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what? You know, what I'm saying? Like I'm sitting there, not gonna lie, a little stoner kid, you know what I'm saying? But at that time I wasn't high. I remember this moment specifically because there's been times where like I was gonna be like, I am not dancing high. Like it's better to dance sober high. I mean, than high. And sitting there, you know, wasn't smoking, wasn't doing nothing, and just was clear as day. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And I just was like, let me just feel this. You know what I'm saying? Let me just like forget the techniques, forget trying to be all technical with it, because I already, got that down to a point where it's like, okay, yeah, you're good with techniques, you're good with choreography, but you gotta know your style, you gotta know who you are with your body. And I was like, you know what, whatever, I'm gonna find myself. I'm not gonna block myself from finding myself. So I'd be up from like 8 o'clock to like 6 sometimes. 6 in the morning, just boom, fully energized, just boom, boom, going to work. I mean, not work, going to school. Like, then right after,
That's
tired,
what's up. That's what's up.
and, off like 2 hours, 3 hours of sleep. But, you know, I was like, I'm gonna find myself. I'm gonna find my style. I'm gonna get rid of this lock that I have inside of my mind and figure out what's behind that door. You know what I'm saying?
That.
And
That's
and that's what dance did for me. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm so grateful for it. That's why I'm so grateful for KJ for teaching me how to dance. You know what I'm saying? Meeting concept and seeing how he moves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just being around that environment, really really means a lot. And like I'm like I don't want to cry on this, but
if you gotta cry, you gotta cry.
but
That's amazing.
I have to let that be known.
That's
regardless
deep.
of if I'm not on that scene or not or anything. I have to pay homage. I have to, because I wouldn't.
And that's part of what my next question was: is what did dance unlock for you creatively?
Yeah,
and that's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's amazing. No, that's deep. But I felt that, and I that hit me because sometimes I'm just like practicing, and sometimes it's like I don't want to practice because it's that voice in your head trying to tell you don't do it. But I'm like, there's nobody else in the fucking room. There's nobody else here. What are you hiding from? That hit me. Like, who are you hiding from? Still hiding from yourself.
Yeah.
You're still hiding from. Like, come on, get it together.
Yeah, and it's like it to somebody who's looking on the outside, it's like, man, you're so hard on yourself. But it's like, no, it's not like me being mad at myself. It's me in being uh being encouraging to myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I know how I think. Yeah, it's like I know how I think. I know how I talk. This is me. If I don't say it this way, he's not gonna do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Yeah, and
look, you inspiring me right now.
Let's it be. And like, those moments. And there's another big thing that dance taught me was those moments where it's like you don't want to do it. Right. There's been the moments where it's like I'm sitting there and I'm like grooving. I'm like, man, I don't want to dance right now. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, you do. Right. you're playing the wrong song. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And sometimes and with music, you know what I'm saying, that transition to, yeah, you want to make the song, but you're playing the wrong thought. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Yeah, and that's what music taught me. I was like, yeah. And every time I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just do some grooves and just, at least I got some practice in. You know what I'm saying? Even with music's like I'm gonna just spit some bars. I'm gonna write 2 lines. Even got some practice in. But then you find yourself like, that's all right. nah, I can do better. Nah, I can extend that. Okay, I can switch like that.
Yeah.
And then you just, you talk. It's weird. You talk yourself into it, and you
Right,
don't
right.
even know it. And then by the time at the end of the day, it's like, man, you remember that song I made last night? Did I even finish it? You look at it, you made a whole song, a whole
Dope.
verse.
It is
You made a
dope.
video.
It
You
is
made it all
dope.
this. Then
Right.
like, I didn't even want to do this,
Right,
but
right.
I did.
Yep,
It
yep.
is from chasing that feeling. It's from chasing that emotion where it's like,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
what's up. That's what's
yeah, it's
up.
like looking at your thumb and be like, yeah, no, get out the way.
Yeah.
Play it
Yeah.
at your car. Get out the way. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, right. So when did you realize that you had to take your art seriously?
When I it's like stages.
Hmm.
It's different stages because I'm going through another stage right now. But the first stage was that music point. Um, the second stage is when well, the dance point. But the second stage um music when I went to my high school Sava. And my teacher John Morris taught the class of audio engineering. At that point, I was like, I really want to do music. You know what I'm saying? And how that showed up was crazy. Because I was just getting out of that transition phase I was talking about, um, where I'm switching both sides. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to figure out, where I'm at, who I am. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I had dance, but there was a point where it just kept getting deeper, and I'm like, okay, what is this side? I explored that part of myself. So what is this side in my mind that I got to get over? And I dance and doom and do my thing, and then I go to school, and I had this art class. Went to foreign, I had this art class, and I got it, and I had this black notebook. I still have this notebook, this black like old school college rule composition notebook. You know what I'm saying? And I just started writing raps. You know what I'm saying? Like, because one day before that, like sometime before that, I was freestyling with my day one homies, and I was just spitting bars, and I was like, I didn't even know I could rap like this, and I was like, this feels good. You know, I mean, and it's crazy. I'm walking down the street with my friend. I was like, I'm probably never gonna be a rapper, but let's, you know what I'm saying. But it's fun to do, and then um, at school we'd have these rap battles and everything. This is before I went to homeschool. That's a whole nother topic. But um, you know, it was like at Albioni, we do freestyles and stuff, and rap battles, whatever. And I'd be rapping at my home and be like, I can turn and rip you up, blah. You know what I'm saying? And they get heated to the point where it's like, all right, we're not throwing in. So that's why I don't like rap battle much, because it's like, if it gets to that point, I could really like break it down, but I don't do, because I have, and it just was like it ruined relationships and stuff, and it's like,
Oh
yeah, but
no. Come on, if you can't take the heat, then
yeah,
get
it's
out the
like get out the
kitchen.
kitchen. But yeah, so what was I? So when I was in high school, um, I love dance, but then I was like, let me get a crack at this hip hop thing. Let's see how far I could take it with music, and how this emotion about music. Because I'd hear instrumentals, and I'd be like, how did they do that? Like, I want to be able to create something from my world and show people what I hear from this,
Nice. Yeah.
and that kind of subconsciously sparked, and it was like I said, it was just a thought. Like, I was hip hop dance. I'm doing this. You know what I'm saying? And I'd hear tracks that I danced to, and I'm like, and when you're dancing, your spirit naturally connects to the drum patterns and shamanic rhythms and stuff. So I'm like, man, how did they do that? Like, how could I like feel my own rhythm, not just like hearing it from other people? How could I really feel my own rhythm? And subconsciously, I was asking my question. I'm like, man, if I could make stuff like this, if I could do stuff like this, and one day I'm in school, I'm like, maybe that's the part of me that I need to express. You know what I'm saying? And I'd be in class and I just start writing, dun, 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 dun. And that was like that's like the 0.1 stage of like me taking it serious, where it's like I'm writing, I'm it was crazy. I'm looking at podcast, reading, watching the Breakfast Club. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the hip hop politics. I'm like, this. I don't know. This is starting to feel natural too. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And And at that point, I'm like, I'll just write until I don't know, I don't know how I'm gonna get into music. And then one day, um, I go to my computer class, and I'm sitting there just down and out, alone, super alone, and um, my computer teacher, his name was Mr. Mr. Cronin, and he was like, "Yeah, so uh, listen, class, I'm eventually going to be offering a music class." And I'm
Okay.
like, my ears perked up. I'm like, "Oh, that was easy." You know what I'm saying?
Landed right on your lap,
Yeah, I'm
right in
like,
your lap.
okay, now I want to be at school, right? Happy. Throughout the day, I'm like, yeah, I'm about to, get my grades up, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, so happy. And then I get called to the office. My next period, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to tell my mom about this. I'm like, I don't know why I'm leaving early, but I'm leaving early, right? So comes to find out, mom says, switching schools. I'm like,
Oh
ah,
man.
right that day,
Oh
right when I found out
no.
about it, right? And my mom's happy. I'm just like,
Oh
nah, not again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna
yeah.
do this, and we're gonna move here, and then yeah, and then so I was like, now I'm in a new district probably, and we gotta, do this by this time. You know what I'm saying? I'm already calculating in my mind what I'm gonna have to do. But mom's just happy. Like she's like, you're gonna love it. I'm like, nah. Like, so we pull up. We leave the school, Florida High. We pull up, and I'm sad. I'm like, dang, bro. And we go in, and I walk into the front desk. I meet the guy, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, yeah, same routine, tour of the school, boom, boom. So we go to the first. This is where they do the homework, and then here's the back. Here's the because it was a charter school homeschool thing.
Mhm.
So it's like here's where this center is where they do the homework. The desk is where you meet with your teacher. I'm like, yeah, I've been homeschooled before, but this is different. Like, yeah, at least I could meet people and stuff. So uh, we go through the whole tour, and then he's like, "No, here's for the fun stuff. Here's the career choice path." So he walks, he leads us. He walks over, he opens the door, and first thing I see, two monitor speakers, a mixer, a booth,
Oh
a
wow.
drum set,
Nice.
guitar. The Mac, the
Wow.
Pro Tool, and my eyes light up.
Oh
I'm
wow.
like, "There's no way this just happened." And that's in that moment I was like, now I have a way in. You know what I'm
That's
saying? And now,
awesome. I
now,
love
yeah, it's like
that.
now I have time to myself
Yeah.
to study and really break it down. And also, you know what I'm saying, you know, be in a school where I could like relate to people. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Um, but yeah, so that was like that first stage of like this is where it's serious. Now it's
That's
like
what's up.
I'm learning it now.
That's what's
Took
up.
the audio class. I
That's
want to
what's
get
up.
behind that mixer. You know what I'm saying? So I got behind the mixer, and then from there it was like, okay, yeah, I got to do this. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what's
That's
up.
where I found the love of it. I was like, yeah, nah, this is where I'm at. My sound is, I'm able to express this part of myself. Oh, I'm going in. Same energy with hip hop.
That's
I mean, the
amazing.
hip hop dance.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's switch gears. Mental health and your inner work. How has your relationship with your emotions changed?
They got a lot more understanding of each other. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say that I have everything figured out because I don't. I don't. Nobody does. What
We
world?
all trying to figure it out.
Yeah, this world throws things left at throw things at you left and right. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
And there'll be times you stutter on the camera, and you're like, oh man. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? There'll be times where
We
you got
human.
you
It's
got
okay.
things due. You got this thing going on, and when you relax, you're like, oh, there's no possible thing that could mess up this moment. Then there's that weird situation that messes it up.
Yeah, but you got
But
to remind yourself, we all human. We all human.
yeah,
Humans
yeah,
make mistakes.
yeah.
That's part of life.
But yeah. So I wouldn't say that I have everything together, but I would say I'm a lot more understanding about my feelings and who I am and why I have these feelings. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Throughout my art
Yes.
journey, I was like, especially with music and creating emotions, I found that um, every emotion is a part of us.
Right.
We can't get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? As
Right.
much as you want to get rid of your anxiety, it's a part of you. You know what I'm saying? The best you could do is understand it. Unless you want to get rid of your sadness, there are going to be times where you're going to get sad.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There's going to be times where you're going to get mad, and you got to look at those moments and be like, I still accept who I am. Right. You know what I'm saying?
So. Right. So when did you stop running from your anger and sadness and realize that it's part of your emotions and it's natural?
I stopped running from it when I was able to just scream on a mic. When I was able to express my alternative side. You know what I mean? Like, being able to just you know what I'm saying? Because like during my journey, like I was also heavy into alternative rock and just alternative sounds and not just hip hop. And that's when I kind of just was like, yeah, I'm able to let this out. You know what I'm saying? And also with hip hop too, where it was like, I can't keep running from this anger, and I have to like figure out how I could channel it into something better. And that's when I was like, like I don't do crump, but that's when I like kind of dabble in more aggressive type stuff. When I started, really caring myself and being like, just, you gotta let this out. Don't hurt nobody, but just you have to let it out. You know what I'm saying? It could be a tool if you use it right. You know what I'm saying? And that's what kind of made me run away from it, was that I use my anger to motivate me to be like, no, you can do it. Right. You know what I'm saying? I use it to I stopped running from it when I understood that it's like, no, don't be angry at a situation. Be angry about like like your doubts. Look at your doubts and be like, well, what am I thinking? You know what I'm saying? And like I said before, it sounds crazy to be like, oh, from the outside, it's like, oh, you're so hard on yourself. But when you really look at it, it's like, you have to look at how you talk to yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, man, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Like positive aggression is what I'm saying. Yes. That's what I kind of learned how to turn, my anger into and stop running from it, was when I looked at it from a different perspective and being like, okay, you can use it as a positive aggression. You know what I'm saying? And also like, again, it's a part of me, bro.
Absolutely. So how do you stay grounded without relying on substances?
Being present, and realizing that everything that you need to get high is already within you. You know what I mean? Because there's been times where I've done like smoke weed, a couple of psychedelics, and those experiences taught me a lot. But the biggest thing that it taught me was that I'm already like this. It's not like triggering anything that isn't outside of me. It's triggering something that's inside of me. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, I could just really just be here and just kind of feel that emotion. You know what I'm saying? Yes. And I realized that emotion is the natural, substance of just life, of just being like, I'm high off life. You know what I'm saying? And from there, I was like, yeah, I don't need anything else. Like, I got music. You know what I'm saying? I got these sounds. You know what I'm saying? I could. Yeah, it's like everything. The substance stuff is. I mean, if you need it, I'm not trying to like, hate on anybody, because
everybody has their own vices. Yeah, like you do what you need to do to cope, and you do what you need to do,
to
escape
for your journey. Yeah, it's like but what I mean by like need it for like like, because I don't do like I never did any like heavy stuff like where it's like, oh, I'm doing popping pills, like yeah. It was more so like always psychedelics, where it's like it gives you that real thing that they talk about, like a real experience that gives you a different perspective of yourself. And I'm like, I can't lie, some people might need that experience. But I always, I'm not here to promote that. I'm here to promote like, hey, folk, look within yourself first. You know what I'm saying? Meditate first, go out in nature first. You know what I'm saying? When I started going out in nature, when I started really looking out at the lakes and stuff, and really just taking in life, I was like, man, I don't need anything but this moment. You know what I'm saying? When you really just sit there and you just start being able to let everything go and just feel good, you'll realize that you don't have to hold on to all this crap that you're running from. You don't have to hold on to being like, I need this to feel this. It's like, no, you're right here. All you need is this moment.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Beautifully said. Yeah. That's all you do need. Yes. Once you start feeling that way on the inside, it's just like sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. You know what I'm saying? Especially astral projection, but you know what I'm saying? I get down like that, you know what I'm saying? I study this.
So What does facing yourself really look like to you?
Facing myself is dance battling myself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you did that move last time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You did that move last time. You know what I'm saying? What else can you do?
Rap battling.
Yeah, you know what I'm
In your
saying?
mind.
Yeah, in my own mind, it's
Yeah.
like you used these words before. Go and go read that book. You know what I'm saying? Go study this. Shoot, hey man, go study physics. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what go study birds. You know what I'm saying? There's a point where I read a bird book just so I can have bird metaphors.
Right.
You know, and
Oh,
that's
that's what's up.
yeah, and it's like that's what facing myself really is looking at myself and being like, how could I just take myself to the next level? You know what I'm saying?
That.
And realizing that the competition isn't against anybody else. That's when you put yourself in a competition against somebody else in this external world, you're already setting yourself up for the existence of losing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And losing isn't bad. Like, you're gonna win and lose battles. You know what I'm saying? But you lose a part of yourself when you do that. You know what I'm saying? You put somebody else on a pedestal. You know what I'm saying? And not to like, you don't want to be super like ego infatuated, but you want to put that energy to yourself. You don't want to like look at someone and be like, oh my God, they're doing all this stuff. And then it cripples you and you're sitting there scared because you try to compete with somebody who's, more in tune with themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Or
And
just on a different level. Everybody, we all start our journeys at different
yeah,
times and,
yeah, exactly.
on different paths.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
like
can't compare yourself to
yeah,
somebody else.
exactly. It's like, some people find themselves. Some people know who they are so much to the point where they don't have time for competition. They just like, I'm focusing on what you should be focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm going this way. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I see, facing myself is always, just forget the politics, forget what anybody thinks. Like that doesn't matter. What matters is where I'm at. If I don't move, I'm gonna be stuck here forever. You know what I'm saying? If I'm focused on you moving, you're doing what you need to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I need to focus on what I need to do
That.
to get to where I want to be, and where
that.
I want to be might not involve you because it's about my life.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I have to face my own battles, my own mind. I have to dive deep within my own mind and look at my own doubts and see where I'm doubting when it comes to manifesting what I want and change that. And it may be things that I don't even know about. Like, you know what I'm saying? You might be insecure about, yeah, your fingernail hanging loose, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. Like it's like cricket a little bit, and it's
and nobody even notices.
yeah, and it's stopping you from like being a IT tech or like a software engineer because you're like, I don't want to wear this. Like, yeah, and it's crazy to be stupid stuff like that, but
It's real. That's real though.
yeah,
Real.
it'd be little micro things that you just you put off to the side, and you're like, damn, I never knew I was holding on to that. But you're never gonna find that out until you like face that battle against yourself.
You're right. You're right. So, what does balance mean for your mind today?
Balance means, for me, always knowing who I am, always knowing which direction I'm going in, and always focusing on the greater good. You know what I'm saying, and keeping my own mental thoughts in check, even if sometimes I might get manic or I might just be down and out. You know what I'm saying? It's just always having that baseline, like this is where I'm going, this is who I am, this is what I've done, this is what I did. You know what I'm saying? It's and that's what it's all about. Just plain and simple, just keeping those things aligned and staying disciplined. Like motivation's cool, but staying disciplined on what you need to do is the biggest thing because that's the be all end all right there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, what role does self love play in your healing?
And self love plays a big part. You know what I'm saying? Self love in my healing is being so like okay with myself that I make other people feel like entirely okay with themselves at resting point where it's like you don't have to perform. You know what I'm saying? You could just be you. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest part of self love with me is it's just like accepting every part of yourself, even the dark sides. You know what I'm saying? And the stuff that's like, oh, I'm sad about this, I'm insecure about that, I'm angry about this, I'm like, why did I did that, or why did I do that? It's like, you did what you did in your life. You became who you became in your life. You know what I'm saying? And you have right now to change it. You always have yourself to change yourself.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's never to look at yourself and be like, man, I'm stuck like this. I've done this. I've done that. I'm so down, and I got to do with this. And you know what I'm saying? My boots talking out. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And I got holes in my pants. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you look at that and you're like, it's like, this is who I am. It's like, no, you always have the power to change that. You know what I'm saying?
Day.
You know what I'm
Every
saying?
day's a new day.
Yeah, and looking at those moments and being like, I'm glad that I experienced that so I could become who I am now. Because if I didn't, I would have never known how to get out of that.
Right.
I would have never known how to deal with that or even understand that from other people and understand why somebody, says that or acts like that. And, what I'm saying? If I never went through that, I'd just be judging all day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm not. I looked at, the traumas that I face, things that I've done, things that I've said, and it's like, dang, like, man, I said those things, I did those things. I'm like, man, like in my heart, like I know I didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's like damn, like, but at the same time, it's like looking at it like, if I never did though, I wouldn't have learned how to feel empathetic about what I did. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it's a weird loop, but
It
it's like,
is.
And at least me now, kid, is man enough to be like, hey, you know, I'm this way, or I did that, or you know what I'm saying, I felt like this, but now I could change. You know what I'm saying? And giving yourself that self love and that second opportunity to be like, it's not all done. Your story's not over.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There's a new chapter that you could write.
Yeah, you can always rewrite it.
Yeah, and
always.
and that's what self love is to me, is just giving yourself a second check. Because there's been times where I've messed up. You know what I'm saying? There's been times where I look back and I'm like, man, like I was a nuthead. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I still look back and I'm like, but hey, if I never did it and wouldn't have learned how to, take myself out of that.
And that's the whole key part about it, is learning from those lessons. Sometimes people go and they do nutty things and they keep doing nutty things, but it's just
Yeah,
like, if you can learn from it, that's the lesson learned for, to build you stronger
yeah,
as
yeah,
a more kind and caring person.
yeah. It's like it's like when you're doing like crazy stuff, and then there's one thing that's going on. It's like, why does this keep happening?
Right.
It's like that's the lesson. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That's the
Right.
whole weird lesson. Like it's all a weird paradox. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's a really sticky topic to talk about.
It is.
But yeah, it's like, if I didn't notice, it's like, if so by acting wild, getting in that situation, I would have never known I was acting wild. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I
Right.
wouldn't have never known that was the problem for me getting in that situation. So in the whole aspect, it's like I gotta love my life,
Yeah. Love
because
it.
the
You got
the
to. You got to love the wild
the
child
yeah
and
the
then move on.
yeah the metaphysics and the divinity of it all is just, it's astonishing. You know what I'm saying? Being a human being is an amazing experience, and at that point, that's just from a spiritual level of life, of
Right.
loving yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what do you want your art to say about humanity?
What I want my art to say is, well, what it's saying in my eyes is that, despite what you go through, despite all the the hell that you face, the the negativity that you face, the anger and all these thoughts and mania that you face, you still can find your way to you know your peace. Peace is always there. Peace is you. You know what I'm saying? And like in a lot of my songs, what I'm saying, I say a lot of things, and I make it feel a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And I express real emotions to show, like, to tell the story of like, this is what I've been through, and also make it in a way where it's like, this is how I found my way out of it. You know what I'm saying? In the midst of like being super angry, in the midst of being super depressed, where it's like, man, it's like, this is not my life. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying, going that deep, and telling people that been that deep and are that deep. And I'm talking deep, because I've, like, what I'm saying, I've faced a lot of things, and it's the stuff that I want to talk about, but like, I don't know if I'm healed enough to talk about yet. But you know what I'm saying, people that are in those, you know, those really messed up situations, you can get out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I know what that feeling is, you know what I'm saying? Where you're sitting there, it's like, no, he's BSing. I'm not BSing. You know, it's when you get up and you just have that one singular thought where you're like, I wish I could change. And from there, that's the thought. That's the reminder of your mind. That's the reminder of your spirit saying that you can change it. Because if you couldn't change it, you wouldn't even have that thought of being like, man, I wonder what it looks like if I wasn't like this. And chasing that thought, it's like, well, what does it look like if I wasn't like this? You know what I'm saying? Being in those sad moments and being like, man, instead of using it to keep dwelling on the situation, use it for what does it look like when I'm out of this situation? What does it look like when I'm out of, you know, feeling just so dark, feeling so sad, and channeling that same energy when you're down into that vision?
Yes.
That's the alchemy of it all, and that's the message of my music and the message of my imagery. My style, my clothes, everything. You know, DCMsociety, Dreamcore Magic. You know what I'm saying, which is um, based off of, you know, childhood traumas and you know, nostalgia of like, man, this is a bad memory that I've had, but also but changing that into something that could heal you, changing it into art, changing it to understanding that it was a lesson for you to be a light in this world. You know what I'm saying? And I know nowadays with all this technology, it's like everybody's drowned out. Everybody, you know, everything's oversaturated. But it's like forget all that. You know what I'm saying? Imagine a world where everybody's, uh, you know, spreading positivity. Imagine a world where love is trending. Imagine a world where truth is trending.
Yes.
Imagine a world where you know, being yourself, fully authentic is trending, not just AI and you know, all this other advertising and buy this, get that, be this way. She don't like you, he don't like you. If they
Right.
acting like this, if they acting like that, imagine if being understanding was a trend. And the people that know that feeling and know that way of life where it's like you've been done dirty, you've always been told that you can't be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Being that light of saying like, no, like you can be yourself, it changes it all.
I
You
love
know what I mean?
that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's a
So
deep message. That's
yeah,
a real recognized real, and that's a real ass message for sure.
bless
You
it,
know, and I love that. I do. I love that so much. So,
bless it
what
be.
advice would you give to an artist feeling alone right now?
Keep going. Dive
Keep going.
if you're feeling alone. Keep diving deep into what you love.
Yes.
Don't worry about anybody else. And it sounds crazy to say, right? It's like, man, but I want to be friends with people. It's like, not everybody is your friend, man.
Not
You know what I'm
everybody's
saying?
your friend.
The only time you're going to find friends and people that you genuinely connect with and love is when you dive deeper into your art, your creativity, and your community and your people. And that, because that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? There's been times where when I first started music, people were like, what are you doing? Because they didn't
They didn't
understand that
understand it.
perspective. They didn't understand the creative perspective of like how broad and what this community is even like. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's
Right.
like, you know, so there's gonna be like, bro, but that's like, you got to be famous for that. You got to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like just crazy thoughts that nowadays I look back and I'm like, how could you believe that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have to try.
You have to try.
And but yeah, so you know, there's gonna be those times where you are alone and people leave you, but it's because they don't connect with you on a real loving level, on the thing that you love. So you have to find, you know, you have to dive deep and find the love inside the love. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And you know, my message is just to always, you know, make your life based around that. You know what I'm saying? If you're alone and if you're feeling lonely, you know, don't get rid of it completely, because you're gonna need that time alone to understand yourself and analyze yourself and know yourself. Everybody that's been alone understands that. All right, yeah, I'm not getting rid of my loneliness.
Right.
So you don't. I'm not saying get rid of your loneliness. I'm saying, you know, or you know, your aloneness, not loneliness, your aloneness. You don't have to get rid of your aloneness. There's a difference.
There is a difference.
Um, but what I will say is that to get out of that loneliness is keep going, you know, making that music, keep reaching out to those, you know, other creators, keep reaching out to, you know, artists and going to the open mics and going to those film festivals and going to, you know, those drawing sessions, writing, whatever it may be. Get involved, like my uncle
Yes.
says. Get
Get involved.
involved.
I
You know
like
what I'm
that.
saying?
Get involved. involved.
What is it? I think it's Beverly Insurance. That's my uncle's insurance company.
I
But
love
he
it.
says
I love
get
it.
involved with whatever you're doing, and that taught me like, hey, you're gonna find your people,
You will.
and
Your people will find you.
yeah, it's a lonely journey. Don't get me wrong, it is lonely, especially if you're like in high school like I was. If you're still in school doing this, people are gonna think you are super weird, like how they thought I was, exploring my style, trying different styles, trying different sounds. You're like, what the heck? Yeah, people
Keep
were like,
trying. Keep
yeah.
trying.
It's like
Yes.
people are like, what the heck are you doing? I don't get it. You're being weird. You're switching up. It's like I'm not switching up. I'm diving deeper within myself, and and it's like sometimes the people that you think you're day ones, and I'm not throwing shade at nobody, but
you just outgrow.
yeah, it's like you
It's
just
just you just
outgrow.
grow. You grow separate, go different lanes.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no shade, no hate, all
yeah,
love, but
yeah,
you just grow.
yeah. It's no shade. It's just like this is that understanding splits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when they finally see the vision, they're like, oh, now I get why he did all that.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to find himself creatively.
I
And
love that.
anybody that's alone, you're gonna go through the same thing.
I love
You're gonna feel that. You're gonna be like, is this going anywhere? And then it does.
that.
You're like, oh,
right.
it's going somewhere.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Blessed be.
It's been amazing. I love hearing more about your story. It's very, very authentic and unique, and I love it. I'm glad I got to hear more about you. Do you have any upcoming shows, projects you're working on?
I am working on a couple projects. I have some features that are in the vault right now. Do I want to say those features? I don't know, because I really want people to be surprised. I really want, people who pay attention and really connected to the scene to be like, oh wow, there's a feature with, what I'm saying,
Okay.
and that. So
Okay.
there's some features coming out. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that is, cooking up. Just stay tuned on my stories. Stay tuned on what I post. You know what I'm saying, and you'll understand what's going on. And also, I'm may or may not be working on an EP right now.
That's
You know what I'm
what's up.
saying? Keeping it on the
Still
hush.
putting
You
in
know what I'm
work.
saying? It may or may not be Source Volume 1.
Oh,
You know what I'm
may or
saying?
may not.
So
That's what I'm talking about.
so yeah, and also my brand, Dreamcore Magic DCMsociety, our hoodies are dropped for early release. So if
Nice.
you want a hoodie, and support the brand and everything, because everything that comes in with DCMsociety is gonna build a bigger part of the community, and also dive deeper into like mental health and getting a part of that community.
Explain that a little bit more.
So what I'm focused on doing with DCMsociety is creating like a space where you could learn how to reframe your thoughts and reframe your mind. And that's what that's what this whole project is. You know what I'm saying? It's not just art. You know what I'm saying? It's getting down and deep, and um creating a way for people to actually learn different ways to uh change their thoughts and change
Cognitive
the
behavior
yeah
therapy.
change
You're changing your ways.
yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And learn how to embody what you want to be. You know what I'm saying? And using like affirmations and yoga and stuff like that, because like I've had a number of friends that get thrown on pills and stuff,
All the time.
and like if you feel like you need to go that route, like I said, I'm not knocking it. If you feel like you need to get prescribed something, I'm not saying don't do it. Like get medical help. But what I'm saying is that different perspective of you know um, let me just find a way within myself that I can do in my own time to you know calm this feeling down, or let me be able to learn a way I can be to just let everything go and
I love that.
discover
And
myself.
sometimes people might need some pills. I took pills for quite some time, and then I got myself off of them. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to take them forever, but
Yeah,
there's other outlets out there, and
yeah.
I love that. So how could we support you with that?
So right now is just the jacket, and also I'm working on like making more like content of talking about ways on YouTube. So I have a channel, DCM Society uh, YouTube channel, where I'm really trying to focus on the vision of creating making it cinematic, and also providing information that people need.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm very I don't know, I'm very perfectionist about what I do. So I'm setting up a whole, studio inside of my like kind of like this, where it's like, lighting and everything. So,
That's
you
dope.
know, so yeah,
Keep up the great work. Keep up
yeah,
the great work.
and
And, I see you out there in the community
ble-
all the time.
blessed
And I
be.
love it. I love it. Just keep putting in the work. And like you said, show up for yourself. The people, your tribe is going to come and everything's going to align.
Oh yeah, for sure. And also, I do have my own uh YouTube that's separate from DCMsociety, but it's the same concept. But that one has more of the footage of me talking about how to, change your mindset. And it's just my artist name, Sorciere. But you can find all that in my Instagram bio on DCMsociety 1. So
Okay.
everything's there.
So
So
we
you
can
can
find
check.
you on YouTube. We can find
Yeah.
you on Instagram,
Mm,
Facebook,
Facebook, TikTok,
Sorcier or Zay.
Sorcier. But
Sorcier.
as
Sorcier.
long as you follow that link, you're gonna find it. So
That's
as
what's
long as
up.
you follow the DCM Society, you're gonna find everything that we're about.
That's what's up. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Let
much. Until
blessed
next
be.
time, don't forget to comment, subscribe, like, keep the conversation going on mental health and check yourself, check your mental health.